She stood there bright as the sun on that California coast. He was a Midwestern boy on his own. She looked at him with those soft eyes so innocent and blue. He knew.
KCAA Loma Linda, 1050 AM, 106.5 FM, and now 102.3 FM.
NBC News Radio, I'm Tom Roberts. The House is rejecting the first of two House Republican immigration bills. Meanwhile, GOP leaders delayed a vote on a second, more moderate plan until tomorrow to give members more time to consider the bill. President Trump blames Democrats for blocking efforts to reform the nation's immigration system. Speaking at the White House today, the president said federal immigration laws have lots of loopholes.
Loopholes in our immigration laws, all supported by extremist, open-border Democrats, and that's what they are.
Online shopping's about to get more expensive. The Supreme Court is clearing the way to allow sales taxes when you buy something on the internet. FBI officials are warning travelers about a surge in sexual assaults on commercial airline flights. According to reports, there's been a 66% spike in cases opened from 2014 to 2017. Transgender people are no longer considered as mentally ill. The World Health Organization now classifies it as a sexual health condition. Tom Roberts, NBC News Radio.
Why are you listening to this radio station? Why? When you can host your own radio show. You're listening and you think you can do better? You have a message or a product you want everyone to know about. Host your own radio show. Team up with the area's best radio professionals and let them make you sound like you should be on NBC. KCAA NBC Radio, that is. KCAA produces more than 50 local programs each week on subjects ranging from business and sports to political talk, vegan diets, or even marijuana-related issues. We don't just broadcast on the radio, we broadcast to the world. Online, on TV, on social media, on Facebook. You'll be all over. Imagine what your friends will say. And KCAA reaches over 5 million people on 3 radio stations. Join the staff on 1050 AM, 102.3 FM, and 106.5 FM. NBC Radio. Jump on the KCAA Express. Call 909-793-1065. That's 909-793-1065 and get ready to transmit.
When Michelle lost her job, her home, and her children because of her addiction, she was desperate to make a change. She felt hopeless. Then she discovered Cedar House Life Change Center in Bloomington. Their staff showed Michelle how to live drug-free and be the mother she always knew she could be. You know what it feels like to be trapped in your addiction? Too many people in our community feel that way every day. That's why Cedar House is here to help with a range of residential and outpatient care. To support the mission of recovery, visit cedarhouse.org, where they say, "Come grow with us."
Are you ready for a new experience? To see life from another point of view? New hope, new expression, new joy. This is your radio hour. Welcome to Viewpoint with Father John.
And welcome. You are tuned in to KCAA Radio, 1050 AM, 102.3 FM, 106.5 FM, or on the World Wide Web at kcaaradio.com. This is Viewpoint with Father John, and I am your host, Father John Reed. By the way, you can follow us on Facebook at Viewpoint with Father John, or go to our website at www.viewpointwithfatherjohn.com. This is a listener-supported program, so if you go to that website, if you click support, you can help keep us on the air. All of God's children are endowed with extraordinary purpose and ability. I'm on a quest to help as many as possible in fully realizing their divinely inspired potential. Disposing of false narrative and embracing genuineness inspires clarity of purpose. My role is to help overcome self-imposed limitations in realizing one's spiritual potential. And tonight we are sponsored in part by St. Teresa Open Catholic Seminary, progressive, independent, truly Catholic education for ordained ministry and lay leadership. For more information, you can call 1-800-790-9739 or check out their website at stocseminary.org. That is one word. And again, I thank you for being here. A couple of things on the news side of it, if you want to go use that term. I was in Los Angeles this morning with a group of wonderful people. If you saw me on Channel 9 News and Channel 4 and Channel 5, yes, that was my pretty mug. But what were we gathered for? We're people from all different faith backgrounds, all different political backgrounds, who are coming together for the children. Say what you will, children do not belong locked up. And all of us who have a heart, and a heart doesn't have a D or R on it. It doesn't have Protestant, Catholic, Muslim, or Buddhist, or any other religion marking on it. It's a human marking. So this morning we gathered to say, as Americans, we're better than this. This is not what we're about, and not in our name. So we need to come together as a community, getting out of who's right and into what's right. And what's right is the babies need us. We can sort out all the rest later, but let's do something about these babies. Let's get them to their mothers where they belong every day. If you've ever been separated from your parents, there's no worse experience. And any of you who know my background know that I know what that experience is all about. So I want to thank everyone who showed up. And I also want to thank the different airlines who have said they will not be a part of locking up any children. I don't know if you know this, but American Airlines, Frontier Airlines, and United Airlines sent a unified letters saying that they won't do that. They won't bring the children to detention facilities, and I applaud them for that. Again, this isn't a left or right problem. It's an American issue, and as Americans, we need to come together because as someone who's lived here my entire life, I know how good we have it. I also know how good our people are. And our people have always been known for our charity, for our reaching out in time of need. So let's come together on this, on what's right. What's right is we should be operating with love, not condemnation. And so I appreciate you hearing me out on that. And tonight I'm very excited. I have a really neat guest with us tonight. I have ascended to bringing in the great mayor of Fontana, Aquanetta Warren. Your Honor, it's glad to have you with us.
It's an honor for me.
And so you represent the city of Fontana. And that's good, even though our high schools are rivals. I'm an old Chafee guy.
Telling me,
yeah, and you have Faux High, who does, I will admit, Faux High has a very strong football program.
Right.
And they can now, in that I no longer go to Chafee where Faux High really needs that great of a program. Not that I ever played football, but it's good for my ego to pretend that I did. I mean, I wasn't even the water boy, so don't worry about it.
Okay.
So what we'd like to do is talk a little bit about your journey and how you wound up going into politics and what your spiritual journey's been like. Now, we were talking over at the restaurant, and you and my beloved wife, Gabby, grew up in the same area pretty much. She's a South Central girl. Why you think I'm so afraid of her, you know? I don't worry about her yelling at me. I'm worried about her shaking me. I didn't know what that word was until I got married. You know? So I know I keep that up. The only thing that'll be colder than my dinner will be my bed. I know. So anyhow, so tell us a little bit about your background, how you grew up, and what drove you into politics.
Well, you know, it's interesting because we as children, my parents were from Birmingham, Alabama, and they came here for a better life. You know, there was so many problems in the South for African Americans, and it became a legacy for everybody to come to the West. Mm-hmm. There were more jobs. The rumor was there was more opportunity, and so everybody wanted to come out here. And my dad came out with his family. There was 13 of them.
Wow.
And they were all adults, my aunts and uncles. And my dad didn't forget about that girl he met, Rudine, and he sent for her. And they had me. I was the oldest. And I have 3 other siblings, my brother and my other 2 sisters.
Isn't that amazing? You look so much younger than they do. As if I know.
They would not say that. But we grew up listening to the radio because my family was still in Birmingham. And I grew up in front of the television looking at what was going on in Birmingham. Right. The protests, marches.
Right.
And we go there every summer. And I remember my grandmother used to tell me when I get there, because I was opinionated, even as a young person. She would say, "You're down south now. It's yes, ma'am, no, sir, and don't look the white people in the eye.
Wow.
And when I send you somewhere, you be polite and you don't answer unless somebody asks you something. And I don't want that California,
Sure.
And so that made me afraid. But I kept seeing things. I remember when John F. Kennedy was murdered. They say assassinated, but I call it murdered. I remember when Dr. King was murdered.
Yes.
And all those things molded me as a child. But I used to keep asking my dad, why do they treat black people like this? What did we do? He said, don't worry about how you treat it, change it.
Wow.
And so that stuck with me. I was student body secretary in elementary school. My parents supported me. I was the first African-American bus by LA Unified School District to
Wow.
Dana Junior High School in San Pedro. My principal, she told my parents, Aquinetta's not going to work out at this junior high school in the area. She has an opportunity to go to this program. I think she'll work out. And so the first couple of days was just me, and then other people came on board.
Was that scary?
It was terrifying because, I went to, here it is, an all-white school, and I show up, and they're waiting on me out there, but they were kind to me, but it was obvious that they did not want me there. They put me in a classroom by myself. And finally, the great superintendent, Mr. Johnson, came and told the principal, Mr. Plum, we didn't need an extra room. She's to be with the other kids.
Oh, thank goodness.
But they messed up. Because once I got in the classroom, the diversity in the classroom was like I'd never seen. I had never seen people from Portuguese. I'd never seen people from China, from Ethiopia. I mean, it just people from all over the world.
Yes.
Because they forgot San Pedro was the harbor for all the soldiers.
Right.
So everybody came there and brought their children.
Right.
And that was the first lesson for me, learning about diversity and how important it is to this nation.
Yes.
And that's the reason why I feel strongly I left that area and came back to my hood and went to Locke High School, became one of the first female student body president, if not the first.
Wow.
And worked with gangs, trying to stop gang violence. I figured out we were the ones getting killed, tried to rally people together, get us out the red and put us in the black with our student body funds. And that's when Mayor Bradley noticed me. And I got a chance to be on his Mayor's Youth Advisory Board.
Nice.
I was on the DA's Youth Advisory Board. So all those things led into, I worked for Councilman Robert Farrell, and all those things led me to feeling like I had to serve others.
Yes.
And I grew up in the Baptist church, and that's what we did. On Saturdays, if we weren't making things to give to other people, or my mom wasn't cooking for a senior, that's the way I was raised. You live to help others.
I have to tell you, you mentioned your religious background, and my listeners know I'm Eastern Orthodox. And some years ago, we had a Pentecostal church in Baltimore converting, a black Pentecostal. So they send me out there as one of the delegates. You can imagine I stuck out, the token Irishman. And this service went for 6 hours.
Oh.
And just when I thought it was going to be over, the minister, now a priest, would look over, and the drummer would start, and the organist would start, and he'd start all over. And I finally learned what I would do is I'd get up as though I'm listening to the Holy Spirit. I was really listening to my bladder. I had to go to the restroom. and I would go over and genuflect to the altar and walk out in great inspiration, go out for a little bit, walk around the neighborhood a little bit, which really scared. They assigned me a bodyguard because it was a tough neighborhood in Baltimore.
Right.
And this poor guy almost gave him a heart attack because I'm walking all over the place. I said, I don't need you. Nothing personal. And I said, look, these are my people.
Right.
I grew up on the streets. And you're just going to come between us. And it really shocked him to find out that I had no problem getting along with anybody over there because we had one thing in common, love.
Right, exactly.
And mutual respect. Mm-hmm. But when I got back to California, to my Orthodox parish, I looked at these people and I said, you're boring. That church knew more about spirit and singing and having a good time. I mean, I walked out of there even after the 6 hours, and when it was time they're feeding us, I was really jazzed. I had an experience there, and it was cool. So when you're talking about that, it just brought me back because I love the music.
Right. And, I played piano for the church.
Oh, my goodness.
And the choir, and my sister was the director for the junior choir. I wouldn't play for the adults, too much drama. The kids, and plus I had little kids. I wanted them to see what I had grown up on.
Nice.
So I really enjoyed my young life. I tell people all the time, I know what it feels to be loved. My parents, I posted this morning, and I think I did that based on what you were just talking about. I was always afraid of my parents not being around, and now they're both gone.
Yeah.
And this morning when I woke up, I always pray. I used to get mad at my grandmother when we go to Alabama. She prayed for 30 minutes, and the breakfast was you could smell it. I'd be like, how long is it going to take, Granny? And now I'm on my knees every morning 30 minutes before I go anywhere praying.
Yes.
So I laugh. But we had to grow up 2 blocks out of Watts.
Wow.
The Watts ride, I remember that. I remember when Rodney King's verdict come down.
Oh, yes.
I mean, I remember all those things, and I'll tell you, that's what molded me. And my dad told me, you don't get angry, you don't get scared, you can change it. And that's what has driven me all these years.
Wow, that's powerful. That's powerful stuff. And so you took that knowledge and you started putting it into action. So it was changing other people's life. Because I don't know about you, but one of the things I really hate to hear is we've never done it that way before.
Oh, I hate that.
And because we haven't done it that way before, we don't know if it works or not. And
Right.
when I was chancellor of the diocese, I drove the poor bishop crazy because I was always trying to do new stuff. Well, we haven't done that before. Well, then maybe it's time that we do. And if it doesn't work, so what? I live by the rule. I reserve the right to change my opinion tomorrow based on new information. And, we were talking
You're going to get in trouble thinking like that around me.
Oh, I know. Well, the commercial before we came on for Cedar House, my oldest brother used to be the director. He was the one who changed it from Amigo House to Cedar House. And it went to new heights because he didn't know what he was doing was impossible.
Right. And they're a blessing in this community.
And he then went up to San Jose and opened up what I used to call the $3 million drunk tank. Sega Laguna, I forget the name of it now. Casa Sega Laguna, sorry, Bob. But it was a program they hadn't had. And he put it all together. And after it was open, then people told him how what he did was impossible. And the reason he did it was he didn't know it was impossible. He's the one who started the whole KDAC program of the Certified Drug and Alcohol program. He was even credentialed when he started it. So the point of all that is, I'm not just trying to brag on my brother, and I am proud of my brother.
Right.
He's come a long way. Rancho Laguna Sega, that was the name of the program.
Okay.
Sorry about that. I just didn't want my brother to give me a bad phone call. But the point being, because he didn't know these things were impossible, he truly believed that God wouldn't call him to do something that God wasn't prepared to back up.
Right.
And so he got the stuff done without knowing that it was impossible. And a lot of people have been helped because of that, because he didn't say it can't be done. He went out and tried to do it. We're coming up on our first commercial break, and I'm excited to have the mayor of Fontana with us. We're going to have an exciting night tonight, and we'll see you in a couple minutes.
Why are you listening to this radio station? Why, when you can host your own radio show? You're listening and you think you can do better? You have a message or a product you want everyone to know about. Host your own radio show. Team up with the area's best radio professionals and let them make you sound like you should be on NBC. KCAA NBC Radio, that is. KCAA produces more than 50 local programs each week on subjects ranging from business and sports to political talk, vegan diets, or even marijuana-related issues. We don't just broadcast on the radio, we broadcast to the world. Online, on TV, on social media, on Facebook. You'll be all over. Imagine what your friends will say. And KCAA reaches over 5 million people on 3 radio stations. Join the staff on 1050 AM, 102.3 FM, and 106.5 FM. NBC Radio. Jump on the KCAA Express. Call 909-793-1065. That's 909-793-1065 and get ready to transmit.
When Michelle lost her job, her home, and her children because of her addiction, she was desperate to make a change. She felt hopeless. Then she discovered Cedar House Life Change Center in Bloomington. Their staff showed Michelle how to live drug-free and be the mother she always knew she could be. You know what it feels like to be trapped in your addiction? Too many people in our community feel that way every day. That's why Cedar House is here to help with a range of residential and outpatient care. To support the mission of recovery, visit cedarhouse.org, where they say, "Come grow with us."
Are you ready for a new experience? To see life from another point of view? New hope, new expression, new joy. This is your radio hour. Welcome to Viewpoint with Father John.
And welcome back. You are tuned to KCAA Radio, 1050 AM, 102.3 FM, 106.5 FM, or the World Wide Web at kcaaradio.com. This is Viewpoint with Father John, and I am your host, Father John Reed. And tonight I'm so excited. We have the Honorable Aquanetta Warren, the mayor of the great city of Fontana, with the famed football team that I can't get over my resentment over from being head chiefy. But I want you to know I'm having a lot of fun having you here tonight. And we had a great dinner together. You're a wonderful individual, and I think Fontana's lucky to have you. And let's talk a little more about your journey. Let's fast forward a little bit. So you wound up doing a lot of stuff with a lot of different people in different offices. What happened next in your life?
I decided that I needed to take care of my family. I was married. I went into banking, 16 years, great career. You know, went all the way up to vice president.
Wow.
I worked at 3 banks, Lloyd's of London, B of A, and First Interstate is where I ended up saying I'm done with banking. After that, I decided I wanted to do something different, and I wanted to do something in housing. I wanted to help people again. And I decided that I was going to look around. They had us at this place where we were displaced, and I met a great family, and they had the contract in the city of Upland, and I started working it. And I was pregnant with my daughter. And so later when we finished the program, a lot of people were saying they just felt sorry for me when I knocked on their door. But I got to restore 2 great neighborhoods in Upland. And then the gangs moved out from L.A., and the police department recruited me on their POP team, problem-oriented policing.
Sure.
And we cleaned up those apartments in Upland. And then from there, they wanted to hire me, and I ended up retiring 3 years ago as a Deputy Public Works Director in Upland. But my journey started with Fontana when I relocated my family.
Did you, when you were with Upland, ever work with Sergeant Tom Barnhart?
Yes, I did.
Tom was an old friend of mine.
Oh, my goodness.
And because I did a lot of work in adolescent addiction.
Okay.
So we got to be friends. And then Sergeant John Poole.
I know him well.
We were in high school together.
You are kidding me.
I'm not kidding. And if I knew that he was going to grow up to be so big and so tough, I would have never tried to pick on him.
That's right. Great man.
But you know what? He's a really nice guy in high school, and he's a wonderful servant of the city of Upland.
Yes. So when I relocated to Fontana, my husband and I, we barely qualified for a home. And the first thing that happened 2 weeks, my friend that I moved around the corner from, she said, "You better go to this meeting. They're getting ready to raise our landscape maintenance district fees." Well, I promised my husband coming down the freeway from Compton, I will not get involved in any politics. I will be a pew sitter.
Okay.
And so when he went to work, I went to the meeting, and the rest is history. I met some great people. The mayor, who just retired before me, Mark Nuemi.
Okay.
And then John Roberts. At that time, John and I would work together on code enforcement issues between Upland and the county. And they had that opening for the appointment after Mark became mayor.
Oh, wow.
But I had been very involved in Fontana community, organizing my neighbors to keep our rates down. We took it over.
Good.
And so my friends at the beauty shop told me I should run for council, that I should apply for the appointment. And my great boss at that time, Michael Milheiser, called me in. He said, Aquanetta, everybody says it's time. And I said, time for what? I thought I was getting in trouble because I wanted to speak my mind. And he said, it's time for an African American on the Fontana City Council. And you have been working hard. And I know they will pick you. I just know it because I know they'll see that you have background in government and that at the same time you care. Yes. And I said, well, they're not going to select me. And everybody kept bugging me. I finally applied because of my daughter. She told me I was being a scaredy cat. I applied. I did my interview. And that night I was shocked that they selected me. I didn't expect it. And so my daughter and my family, they had gone to our church for spaghetti night. Nobody would go with me before they made the appointment. And when I came home, there were flowers and candles all on our front porch. And by that time, my husband and I had divorced a couple years before, and my brother was living with me, and he worked swing shift, and he was so angry at me. He said, you know, when you do stuff like this, you should tell Mommy and Daddy, you should tell us. I can't believe you. So my mom and dad were very proud.
You know, just to back up a little bit, I don't know if you realize what a big deal that is for the city of Fontana with Fontana's history.
Well, I did, and I got in trouble with the African-American pastors and a couple of the members of the community because I made light of it. And I'll never forget our great, great legendary Dorothy Grant called me over her house with some of the pastors, and they got me straight. They said, it is a big deal because we couldn't go past Foothill after night.
That's right, because a lot of people don't know this, and for people who are new to the area, because I grew up out here in Ontario, Fontana, and I'm glad to see where they are now, but at one time that was one of the headquarters for the KKK and the Hells Angels. And I can remember as a child that the KKK used to hold a parade down Sierra once a year, and a whole bunch of us would fight against that, but they had a First Amendment right that we couldn't get in the way of. Some years later, someone figured out a way to quell it, but
you know who it was? The pastors.
Is that who did it?
All the pastors got together and said, we're tired of this.
Good.
Just shows you how the Lord has led our city.
Yes.
And they got together no matter what, their nationality, party, or religion, and they marched down Sierra and prayed for our city.
Go back and say that one more time. I want my listeners to hear that. All parties,
all parties, all religion, all nationalities, they got together, and particularly Water of Life, Pastor Dan Carroll and Pastor Willie Uberry and all those people.
Good for them.
They prayed for the city, and that's what changed that whole thing. And I had moved there not knowing the history. My dad told me after I told him I was closing escrow, trying to be slick, because every time we tried to move out of Compton, my dad would say, you don't want to go anywhere. And so when I told him, I can't take anymore, I said, by the way, we're moving next week. We are closing escrow at a house in Fontana. He just looked at me and said, so you go from gang members to Klan members, really?
Yeah. And
I had never heard that history.
Yeah, it's one that I'm certainly not proud of. Look, I knew what it was to grow up with prejudice on the side of the losing end because I grew up 2 blocks away from the Calaveras gang, and I was white.
Right.
And this was a Hispanic gang that when I was 7 years old, they had to call the paramedics because I'd been beat up so bad I'd stopped breathing.
Oh, my goodness.
All because I was white.
But you know what? When I used to be so afraid because I always thought the white people, they're going to come and get us. Because you see it on the news, and my grandmother, she was so strong, and to see her so afraid. I remember when they bombed that church in Alabama. My mother, we were ready for church. My mother made us sit on the couch because she had to get in touch with her relatives. I think that all of that made me strong.
Yes. And
going to that school.
Sure.
And people calling me names. And then coming through and going to Occidental College and being in a whole different environment.
Right.
And even today in politics, I still see racism toward me. But, you know, I have to rise above.
Sure.
I've got a plan. God has a plan for me. And I just don't allow people to stop what we need to get done.
Amen to that. that's why some of the things you're doing, I think, is so important. I think you and I are aligned on a lot of things. One of them being is that, first of all, we're all humans.
Absolutely.
And God doesn't have stepchildren. And our job is to remember that we're all God's children. And my experience growing up with all that, what I learned as the years went on, they were just as afraid as I was. And they were trying to cover up their fear by beating up on me.
That's terrible.
And that's okay, because it showed me what I didn't want to do.
Right.
And I'm very grateful that what I took from it is if I can learn to love there, I can love anywhere.
Well, we talked about at dinner forgiveness.
Yes.
And one of the things that we always used to sing in our church was if I can help somebody.
Yes.
And in that song, it doesn't say if they're black or white.
Exactly.
It says if I can help somebody. And that body is like the body of Christ.
Sure.
My brother and sisters are not necessarily, we didn't all come from the same mother, but isn't it a wonderful thing that we have all the same father?
That's right. That's right.
And that's what people forget.
And I one of the songs I grew up with in church was, well, two of them actually, is Let There Be Peace on Earth, Let It Begin With Me.
Yes.
And the other one was that they will know we are Christians by our love. And those are two songs that are kind of a mantra for me in life.
Right.
And when I go into places, like when I went to L.A. this morning, and I'm looking around, this is just a little thing I do, is I try to see the Spirit of God in everybody.
You have to.
And in the East, they have an expression called namaste. And what namaste means is the divinity in me recognizes and salutes the divinity in you.
Right.
It's the same divinity. And that's why on this program I've worked very hard to bring people from different faith backgrounds, different cultural backgrounds, to show we all have more in common than we have separate. And every one of us is deserving of love.
You know, when the Watts riots, we had a
Yes.
great Sunday school teacher, Miss Dove. She was white. See, where I grew up, we were all together. The Latinos, the whites, the blacks, the Germans, everybody. We just all lived together. I didn't have all these issues. And she came to us after the riot, and she said, I can't be your teacher anymore. My husband won't let me come back because they felt it was dangerous in Watts. And I never got over losing her.
Wow.
And so now, as a mayor, I can't afford just to represent one group.
Right.
I have to represent everyone. And I can't do party.
Right.
I can feel what I feel of what I feel,
Sure.
but I have to be up there at that dais. We have a little note on each council member's computer that says, would this be good for Fontana?
That's
Is this good for Fontana? And we've proven, working as a team and embracing and including everyone, it works. We just got #1 in the state, prosperous city.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yes, we're
cool.
we're #4 in the nation. But it's based on us being able to bring our indicators up for employment, education, and
Right.
poverty.
Yes.
And poverty is driving racism more than anything in our region.
I agree. I absolutely agree with that 1,000%. And so to lift the entire community, we have to lift the least among us.
Right. And that's why everything we do, we have to include everyone. And that's why I really focus with our faith-based community. They help me.
Good.
If we have someone in need, we have CityLink that is run by Water of Life. Pastor David Samora, he is a jewel.
Nice.
He ministers to young people. He helps anybody. We have all these great pastor leaders. We have Pastor Emery James. He does his Dr. King ceremonies every year.
Cool.
We're all trying to work toward one goal. We just had Loveland move back. I praise God for that. We have all these churches, but when I was honored by Next Dimension to get my honorary degree in theology for a doctor's degree, what that taught me was there's okay to be in politics and it's okay to believe in God, because ultimately you believe in people and you believe in love.
Sure. You know, a friend of mine, Chuck Chamberlain, Richard Chamberlain's father, the actor, was a good friend of mine.
Right.
In fact, he and a Jesuit priest helped me find my calling to go to seminary. And Chuck used to say, you are what you're giving away.
Exactly.
And he used to also say, if you were asking me my religion, it had to be the way I live my life. It doesn't matter what I call myself. The way I live my life tells you everything about what I believe. And I think that is really apropos to what you're sharing, is that you're showing through your actions really what your belief system is, instead of just getting up on a microphone and telling people what they should believe or what you think they should be doing. Instead, you're trying, if I'm hearing you correctly, you're trying to lead by example, and you're trying to let the light come through you. And
it's not easy, because we always have people that email me or text me and say, you talk about Jesus too much. You can never talk about Jesus enough.
Try being a radio talk show host that deals in spiritual matters. I'll show you my email someday.
But we have to work together, no matter what we believe. And we have to love each other, because love, you know that song, Lifted Me.
Yeah.
And that's what keeps me going, because I know that I need to give back, because that's what I was taught to do.
Absolutely. Well, in a few minutes we're going to go to commercial, but not quite yet. I have a couple of announcements to make, and if I don't make them, I'm glad you said about the forgiveness, because otherwise my seminar partner would have to forgive me for not mentioning this tonight. I have a couple of appearances coming up. The first one is going to be on July 20th on Friday night, 7 p.m. at Holy Trinity Episcopal Church in Covina. That's 100 North 3rd Avenue in the great city of Covina, where we're doing a book signing and a question and answer. Father Steve DeMuth will be facilitating that. He's invited me to come out. So you can either come there and get a copy of my book, Close Your Eyes So You Can See Me, or you can order it on Amazon and bring it with you. Either way is fine. I would love to meet you. Come on out. We'll sign your book. You can ask questions. Just don't make fun of my haircut, and we'll get along just fine. And in case you do make fun of my haircut, on the next day, July 21st, my dear friend Martha Bass and I will be doing a workshop on forgiveness from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. at the United Church of Christ in Claremont, which is on the corner of Harrison and Harvard. And come join us. It's $35 for the workshop. It includes lunch. And I know the lunch will be good, because Gabby is the one who's putting it together. It'll be cold cuts and stuff. And so, and I know all of you love Gabby almost as much as I do. And so I know we're all going to smile at her and tell her how good that lunch is. She's looking at me like I had better. And no, but seriously, if you're able to make it, come to this thing. This is going to be really important, because we're going to talk about what forgiveness really is and what it's not. And so a lot of good information there. If we don't forgive, we become hostages. And I've shared with you on this program one of my heroes, Viktor Frankl, who was in Auschwitz and who had ran into one of the people who had been a prisoner with him in the concentration camp. And he asked his friend, his fellow prisoner of one time, do you ever think about our time in the camp? And his friend said, yes, I hate those Nazis every day. I damn them to hell every day. And Viktor Frankl said, then you're still their prisoner.
That's right.
And so come learn about forgiveness. Not just to forgive others, but to learn how to forgive ourselves and how to make peace with ourselves. So as we're going to go into a commercial break, and I want to thank Blake for doing such a good job on the side of the glass. Say hi, Blake.
Hello. Can you hear me?
I can barely hear you.
How about now?
I can hear you now. Well, you're
right.
working for AT&T now?
I think so.
But anyhow, we're going to go to commercial, and I thank him for working the board so hard, and we'll see you in 2 and 2.
Why are you listening to this radio station? Why, when you can host your own radio show? You're listening and you think you can do better? You have a message or a product you want everyone to know about. Host your own radio show. Team up with the area's best radio professionals and let them make you sound like you should be on NBC. KCAA NBC Radio, that is. KCAA produces more than 50 local programs each week on subjects ranging from business and sports to political talk, vegan diets, or even marijuana-related issues. We don't just broadcast on the radio, we broadcast to the world. Online, on TV, on social media, on Facebook. You'll be all over. Imagine what your friends will say. And KCAA reaches over 5 million people on 3 radio stations. Join the staff on 1050 AM, 102.3 FM, and 106.5 FM. NBC Radio. Jump on the KCAA Express. Call 909-793-1065. That's 909-793-1065 and get ready to transmit.
When Michelle lost her job, her home, and her children because of her addiction, she was desperate to make a change. She felt hopeless. Then she discovered Cedar House Life Change Center in Bloomington. Their staff showed Michelle how to live drug-free and be the mother she always knew she could be. You know what it feels like to be trapped in your addiction? Too many people in our community feel that way every day. That's why Cedar House is here to help with a range of residential and outpatient care. To support the mission of recovery, visit cedarhouse.org, where they say, "Come grow with us."
And welcome back. You are tuned to KCAA Radio, 1050 AM, 102.3 FM, 106.5 FM, or on the World Wide Web at KCAAradio.com. This is Viewpoint with Father John, and I am your host, Father John Reed. And remember, you can also go to our website if you want to help support this program. Go to www.viewpointwithfatherjohn.viewpointwithfatherjohn. I almost forgot my dot. My dot and my tittle. There you go. The little Hebrew I got in there. How about that? Hey, you just got multicultural right there. But anyhow, viewpointwithfatherjohn.com. Go to the support button, and your gifts are really appreciated. For those of you who have already given, thank you. You help keep us on the air. I think this is an important program. Also, this program tonight is brought in part by St. Teresa Open Catholic Seminary, progressive ministry taught for laity and for ordained ministry. If you want more information about the school, you can call 1-800-790-9739 or go to their website at stocseminary.org. And they are doing stuff in partnership with the School of Theology at Claremont. So they're hooked up with a good school. This is a new program starting out, and Bishop Nina Paul is running that, who's a friend of mine, and they really have some exciting programs going on. And again, a reminder that I will be in Claremont on the 21st of July. Come and join us for the workshop on Saturday, or come to Covina on the 20th, which is Friday night at 7 p.m. at Holy Trinity Episcopal Church. Bring a copy of my book or buy one there, and so I can sign it. And I'm thrilled to have with us the Honorable Aquanetta Warren, the mayor of Fontana. And let's talk about your election process. That had to be really quite an experience, if I may jump into that arena.
Well, I didn't want to run for mayor. I just run for assembly. I had lost, and I felt like, I'm just going to ride it out and see what happens.
Right.
And Mark had to resign because he wanted to be a city manager. And so that night he told me, you're going to have to step it up. And I said, I'm not going to do that. He said, well, watch, they're going to start attacking you because they know you can win. I said, why would they attack me? They don't even know me. Well, the next meeting I did. I got attacked.
Oh, yeah.
I got accused of being racist. I got accused of not caring about people. I just couldn't believe the attacks. But I tell you, that entire election brought our community together.
Okay.
They did not want the diversity that we had developed to go away.
Right.
And people of all walks of life worked with me to make me mayor. And the night that I won, I will never forget, ABC had to proclaim that I was the winner. And they said, she had a rough road. They threw gender, race, everything, party, everything. And she just won.
Wow.
So once again, first female, first African American. And I always feel like our role as electeds are to make the quality of life of our residents better.
Yes.
So that's the number one focus for me.
Outstanding. Well, you're also doing some work with an old high school teacher of mine, Gary Ovitt, and in case he's listening, now he's what?
He's been a supervisor.
Supervisor.
That's right.
I knew him when he had brown hair.
He and Sue are amazing.
Aren't they wonderful?
They are wonderful people.
And he taught civics, so it doesn't surprise me he wound up in politics. And he was a really good civics teacher. I mean, I give him a bad time when I get an opportunity. I don't see him very often, but I will tell you, I am so grateful for the education I received about civics and the different branches of government. And one of the problems that we're having right now is a lot of people don't get good civics classes, and so they're blaming one area of government when it's not that area of government that's doing something.
Right.
And they don't understand the three equal branches, and then the fourth establishment being the media. And it's so important that we go back. We were talking at dinner.
Yes.
That all begins with education.
It does.
And
people don't realize locally we have to be nonpartisan. That's the
Right.
way the forefathers, when they wrote the Constitution, they knew that they'd be up there fighting like cats and dogs.
Certainly.
With this party mess. And when it comes to local government, we have to work with everybody.
Yes.
So when people bring their clubs into the mix and want to do it because this legislation just hit, that's not our role.
Right.
Our role is to be inclusive and work for everyone, whether you're a D, a R, a I, green, or whatever. And I mean, I see it all.
I think one of the reasons I feel fortunate to be an independent, I'm not knocking anybody with this, I get to work with people from both parties, and I've seen some really fine people in both parties. I've seen some real scoundrels in both parties. I'll just say it like it is. I've worked hand in hand with some people who've done some powerful things. I've tried to work hand in hand with some people who are very selfish.
Right.
It had nothing to do with the D or the R or what other letter they had. It had to do with either they valued their fellow citizens or they didn't. And when you light a candle in a dark room, it starts the illumination process.
Right.
If you light a second candle, the second candle doesn't take away from the light of the first candle, it adds to it. You take a third candle, again, it doesn't detract from the others, it makes the room brighter. Our job, where we're serving in the media, like I'm trying to do here, or you're serving as mayor of Fontana, is to light as many candles as possible so that everybody has a bright future.
Well, it's interesting because one of the things that my top priority is safety. Mm-hmm. And to have safety, you have to work with your public safety personnel.
Sure.
And, of course, we understand all the things that have happened recently with police and have been going on for years.
Sure.
I grew up after that riot and understand I was afraid of the police, but my parents put us all in explorers.
Right.
And so now we're trying to recruit more African Americans particularly and get others involved. And we were going to the churches. But in a lot of ways, we found some of the churches we were trying to recruit from, either the leadership or the pastor wasn't feeling the police.
Right.
So we're trying to break those barriers. We're doing new and innovative ways, going to the gym. People don't realize the gym helps you because that's one of the worst things you can go through is that physical agility. Did I say worse? Healthy Fontana talking here. But you have to be in good shape.
Sure.
And then the other part, the education part, we can teach you. But we need people that care about people.
Right.
And that's what got Fontana where it is today. We made it safe. Our police department, our fire department is second to none. I tell people that all the time, and they work with everyone. We got a new chief, Chief Billy Green, and he had his faith-based meeting last week. I almost cried. I was so proud of him because he embraced everyone and they embraced him.
Nice.
So we're going to get through these hurdles. We just have to work together. Nothing is undoable.
I would agree with that. You know, the old expression that's older than both of us put together is the only thing that evil needs to succeed is for good people to do nothing.
Right.
And, you know, I meet people all the time with different letters, political letters in front of their names that want to work towards the common good. I mean, this morning out in Los Angeles, you have people of every stripe, every religion. Yeah, every religion pretty much was there. We all prayed in our different ways, but we prayed together.
Right.
And we were united in the fact that we want to right something that had gone wrong. And rather than causing more chaos, we want to bring more unity. When we do that, when we sit down and we talk, I find that most of us have more in common than we do different. You know, tonight during our dinner, we got to discuss a lot of things. We got to talk from different points of view. And as my friend Richard Rohr says, each point of view is a view from a different point from a different view.
Right.
And so if I can come over to where you are a little bit and try to see it from where you're seeing it, and you come a little bit from where I am, we don't have to agree on everything, but we can respect each other.
But look what's happening. I talk to students that are afraid to talk in class now.
Wow.
I talk to people that are afraid to say how they feel because the rhetoric has gotten so loud against everything.
Yeah.
So parents now are telling their kids, and it remind me of my grandmother. Remember she told me, don't look them in the eye. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. Do we realize all this impact to our kids? And we talked at dinner, we should consider what's going on in those camps a crisis. And what do we do as Americans? We stick together. I don't care how it got started. Let's get it over with.
Let's get with this
and
solution.
let's get beds in there. Let's get mommies in there. Let's put these kids where they need to be, where they'll be safe and where they'll feel loved.
Yeah, let's get them reunited.
Let's get them reunited. So I think people are beginning to get tired of all the bashing because it's doing nothing but creating anxiety for everyone.
Sure.
And I see more people standing up saying, that's not what I'm going to do. I'm going to stand for something.
Sure.
I'm going to get something done. And that's what motivates me.
You said something that concerned me greatly, and I had an experience. You know, I'll be a lifelong student. And a few years ago, I was taking some university classes. I won't say what university because I don't want to get a lawsuit in the mail, which people do today. But I had a couple of professors that would not allow academic discussion. And when I first went through school, all the way to my doctorate, one of the things I loved most was academic dialogue. We can discuss things, we could debate them a little bit, we can show different points of view, and all of us benefited because we got to see it from all different points of view, and all of us learned more about what we're studying, we learned more about each other, and we also learned some things that we had been misinformed on.
And you're right, it's unfortunate, but when you're just pushing down everything,
right,
you can never look up.
I agree with you.
And we have to stop this because everyone should have an opinion. Now, do we all agree?
No.
But I pride myself with trying to work with everybody because I need their help. I always tell citizens when I meet with them, how can I help you? But more importantly, how can you help me help you?
Right.
And we sit down and we talk it out. I had people calling me, blaming me for everything. And I explained to them, well, how do you think I should fix that? Because that's not the level that I'm in charge of.
Okay.
And we constantly battle with the state. They take our funds.
Sure.
We constantly have to implement things mandated to us, unfunded.
Right.
But Fontana has been awarded one of the fiscally responsible cities. And it all came down to don't spend what we don't have.
Right. I agree with that.
And create an environment, economic environment, where people can get a job,
Good.
where people can get a good education, and people can feel safe. And those are such simple things. But I tell you, if you see the backlash we get from time to time, but
Well,
it
sure.
doesn't stop us, because if we're going to down everything, we'll never get up.
Well, one of the problems, and I mentioned it earlier, from my point of view, is again, we stop teaching fundamental things such as civics class. I remember when I was in elementary school, one of the things we got graded on was citizenship.
Right.
And I can remember Mayor Treadway was the mayor of Ontario. Now, I was just a grammar student, and I had an idea. And so I went to his house, because there, you could do that in Ontario.
Right.
And I knocked on his door, and I said I had some ideas, and he was a neat guy. He also taught junior high at Imperial Junior High. And he sat down on his front porch with me. And he just listened. And I was talking about what a great thing it would be to have a bus system in Ontario.
Right.
And stuff. Well, 2 years later, they came out with the omnibus. And I'm telling everybody, that was my idea.
You better.
And I thought it was. I didn't know it had been in the works for forever. The point being, as mayor, he sat down with me. And he made me understand we're all involved in this. We have to listen to each other. And everyone's input is important. To this day, and I'm not going to say how many years ago that was, even though I look devastatingly young, it sticks with me.
Well, Mayor Bradley is my mentor.
Right. Good man.
I was on his Mayor's Youth Advisory Board, and every Saturday he would come up and speak to the group, and he talked to us about civility. And that's what's missing. Civility, which means we respect each other and we embrace each other for who we are and where we are. And that is missing. And we're not teaching our children those traits. And we've got to.
I agree.
Because you got to keep in mind, we're raising the next generation that's going to take over this country. And this country is great. It is our country. It belongs to everyone. Everyone. And we have to embrace everyone.
Yes.
So we try to do that in our great city, and I think that's what's made our city successful.
I have great respect for Mayor Bradley, and I know he did not have an easy road.
Not at all.
And he was met with a lot of hate.
Oh, my God.
And I heard people say things. I was clear in Ontario, and I was hearing people say some really unkind things because he's a black man.
Right.
And it hurt me deeply. And I was a little kid at the time. I will give credit that the way I was raised was you just didn't do that.
Well, he brought everybody in the city together on that board we were on.
Yes.
And it gave us all an opportunity as youth to advise him on youth issues. And we all began to love each other. And do you know we all still stay in touch? I had a great childhood doing those things. I was on there with Mark Ripley Thomas and Curran Price and Rod Wright, Rory Kaufman, and we all worked as a team to improve our communities. And we learned from other areas and the youth how they did and what they did, and we brought those ideas back. So that's why I go everywhere I can to get ideas. I bring them back, and I work with my colleagues as a team to see if we can get them implemented.
Now, if we can get that in more cities, and I'm being serious about that, I'm fortunate to live in Claremont because I'll tell you, we have a really good city council and mayor who work together, who don't get into party politics. They work towards what is best for Claremont. How do we embrace everybody, including our homeless? One thing is when Gabby and I first moved there, that moved me to tears, and I'm not being dramatic, it moved me to tears. There's a homeless guy who walked into the village grill.
Right.
His name's Marshall. They know these people by name.
That's right.
And someone said to the waitress, give him whatever he wants and put it on my bill.
Oh, that's wonderful.
I still get choked up.
Right.
When we get back to that, those are true American values.
Well, that's why I support Supervisor Gonzalez's homeless interagency. I'm so glad I'm going to be a part of that. I'm learning all these methods, and I'm learning about the different programs because the homeless people are not going away.
No.
Whether they're chronic or by expenses, I call it.
Yeah.
We've got to deal with them.
I hope that you will forward me some information on that because I should be better informed, and I like to get good information out there. I think it's very important. Well, you've been a delightful guest, and I thank you, Ms. Mayor, for being here.
Thank you for having me.
And I hope that we'll do this again sometime. I know that we're going to be good friends for a lot of years.
That's right.
And because we both believe in working together for the benefit of all of humanity. And God bless you in what you're doing. And I wish you the very best in the city of Fontana. I include your high school football team in that.
Well, God bless you too, including your high school football team.
Go Tigers, go Tigers. Oh, I got it out there. I want to thank Blake for doing a great job for us tonight. I want to thank my beloved Gabby for getting me here safe, sane, and sober. 2 out of 3 is not bad. And most of all, I want to thank you for listening this week. And if no one's told you they loved you this week, let me be the first. God bless.
This is KCAA.